What is up, guys? Yugioh back up in here with a different kind of video that I haven't done before, but I just decided to do because I want to. I'm going to go over all of the different forbidden cards in Master Duel, and I'm going to determine, at least in my expert opinion, whether or not it should stay forbidden, or maybe it can come back to like 1 or 2 or even unlimited. Obviously this is just my opinion, so if you have any hot takes, do let me know, okay? And do put that in the comments below so I can read them, because I do try to read all comments I get and maybe respond to some of them. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more of these types of videos. Anyways, let's get right into it. The first one on the list is Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. This card was just recently banned, and for good reason. There were like Naturia combos and Horus, the Naturia Horus combos that made this card just busted. The fact that they could get this out, make your opponent unable to literally do anything on a turn, yeah, it deserves to stay forbidden. Phantasmal Lord Ultimatal Bishbalkin. I hope I said that right. This card is used in a lot of FTK strategies, so personally I do think that this card is safe to be forbidden. Obviously for the reasons because it was really easy to one-shot any and every deck out there. The Tyrant Neptune. Personally, I don't really see the reason why this card is still banned, and to be honest, looking at its effects, I can understand why. I don't know the main reason why it was banned, but I personally think that this card could come back to 1, and there probably would not be too much of an issue if there isn't any like main thing that I don't know of, obviously. But then again, I think this could come back to 1 and be perfectly fine. Galaxy Eyes Dark Matter Dragon. I personally don't think that this card is as meta relevant as a lot of other decks are out there. I personally think this could definitely come back to maybe 1 at least. Obviously I say 1 just because I don't know if there was any like OTK strategy or any type of like a way to abuse these types of cards. So if I usually say 1, it's because I usually also don't know the reason why. Either way, I think this could come back to 1 and it'd be fine. Obviously, there are Galaxy Eyes and Tachyon cards that are going to be coming out relatively soon, so I personally think this could come back to 1 and it'd be fine. True King of all Calamities. This is a floodgate among floodgates, okay? And besides the fact that it's not too hard to get out with those very specific decks, personally, having also faced against this, I do think that this card deserves to be and stay forbidden. Grinder Golem. I don't know why this one is banned. Looking at the actual effects of it, I'm assuming this was part of like some kind of a OTK strategy. Other than that, well, FTK, OTK, you know what I mean. I personally think that this could come back to maybe 1 and be totally fine, to be honest. Phoenician Cluster Amaryllis. This one is a plant monster. To be honest, I don't know. I don't know why this one is banned. I have a feeling that this is because it does, like, if it's destroyed instance the graveyard, afflict 800. I'm assuming it's because somebody figured out a loop with this card. I think that this card, just because in the hindsight of maybe that kind of a loop, I would say it could probably come back to 1. Otherwise, I would say it'd probably stay forbidden. It's like a mix or 2. Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. Yeah, that's staying banned. Gandora XD Dragon of Demolition. I don't know exactly why this card is actually banned. I have a feeling that this card was used in some type of like FTK or OTK strategy. Either that be, I do think this could come back to 1, especially with how a lot of meta decks are right now. I do think this could come back to 1. If not, forbidden would probably be fine, just because I don't know the main reason. Block Dragon, please release the block. This card is strong, yes, but not strong to break the games, okay? Like, when you look at a lot of the meta decks right now, and a lot of like the tier 1, tier 2, you know what I mean? This card right here allowed a lot of other smaller decks to actually get a boost in power. One of those being a favorite of mine, being Adamantipator. Truthfully, I think Block Dragon can come back at least to 1, because truthfully, I don't think it's too powerful to actually, you know, stop a lot of the meta threats nowadays. Masterpiece, the true Draco Slaying King. This one, I'm assuming it's just because it can literally become it becomes basically it's literally just unaffected by all card types. It's essentially a unaffected by anything card, because literally that's what everybody would use it to get out. That being said, the only reason I think that this card is banned is just because of how broken it was at the time. I think this card could at least come back to 1. Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. This is a hot take. I do think this card is strong. I do think this card is strong, like very strong. It's literally a Baron de Fleur, but better. But in my opinion, if Baron's still out there, I think this could come to 1. Just because, yes, it can become an Omni Negate, but we also have a lot of those right now anyways. Not to mention, this is also, you need to play Dark Magician or Red Eyes Black Dragon to get this out, so it can make a lot of unique decks, and to be honest, Red Eyes and Dark Magician can be bricks in a lot of people's hands, so I think it kind of balances it out in its own way. That being said, because there is still Preda, Plant, Verde, Anaconda, that might be the real reason why Dragoon is still banned, just because you could force out Dragoon without any real problems. Other than that, specifically, I do think it could come back to 1. Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. This one definitely, I think, needs to stay banned. Just because, 1, its ability to excavate the top 5, add a light or dark, and then send the rest of the graveyard. There are so many graveyard decks, like one of them being Tearlament, that it literally just would abuse, like so many decks would abuse this card specifically, and then just go at it. It would literally set up really chaotic boards, hence the name Chaotic Dragon. So I do think this card could stay banned. Maybe sometime in the future it might come back to 1, but other than that, I think it just needs to stay banned for now. Number 89, Diablosis the Mind Hacker. This card, it should have been banned before Kashtira Arise Heart came out, just because those 2 cards, along with the Shingar Era, it caused, literally, like, first week, it was, like, so stupid, you couldn't even play the game, just because they would lock you out of everything and banish all your deck. So, this card, so long as Arise Hearts is still around, Diablosis is going to have to stay banned. Ido, the Spring Magical Force, same reason for why the Gimmick Puppet is locked. You know, it's, you know, behind bars. This card, same thing. This card I definitely think needs to stay out. A lot of the Floodgate cards like this, I think, just need to stay away for a bit. Tempest Magician. I'll be honest here, I don't necessarily know why this card is banned. I don't know the reason why. The only thing I can see from reading it is remove all spell counters on the field to inflict 500 to your opponent for each one. That's probably the reason why. Obviously, that would be probably more viable in, like, Endymion or any type of other spell counter deck, like, oh, I don't know, spell books or something like that. Either way, I think this card, just because it can do that burn damage, I'm certain there are people who have abused this. Because I don't know, I say it could come back to 1, but it probably should stay forbidden for the time being. Catapult Turtle, I'll be honest, this is a preemptive ban. I did not go through the series of Catapult Turtle, you know, Tachyon, whatever the combination is, to literally just one-shot your opponent with this card right here. I don't know. It was a preemptive ban, so I'm gonna say for now, let's keep it banned. Maybe it could come back to 1. I don't know. It's kind of funny that a really old card like this is actually banned, but hey, they know better, right? Silva, Warlord of Dark World. Dark World's ability to loop cards so much. Yeah, like, with the means of discarding, this card I do think does need to stay banned. And there's even some cards I think that need to get banned from Dark World anyways, still. This one, namely, being able to, you know, shuffle your entire opponent's hand back into the deck. It's just, it's broken. Cannon Soldier MK2. You can contribute 2 monsters to inflict 1500 damage to your opponent. I don't know the main reason why this card is banned. Obviously, it's I'm assuming a OTK, FTK strategy. That being said, I honestly don't know how they do it, and I think this could come back to maybe 1, otherwise probably just keep it banned. Blackwing Gofu, the Vague Shadow. I don't know the purpose behind why this is banned, but I'm assuming this was used a whole lot in the main lines of, I think, for link strategies, because obviously this card right here, when special summon from the hand, you can special 2 Vague Shadows, but they cannot be tributed or used for a synchro. I'm assuming these were used as a means for, like, link spamming right there. Other than that, there's also the other effect of Banish, and I believe that that's the reason why this card is banned. Personally, I think this card could come back to 1. I do think this could come back to 1, honestly. Just because Black Wings, I think, could get, like, maybe just that 1 card to help them out. Because I honestly don't see Blackwing players a whole lot anymore. Ib the World Chalice Justiciar. I do personally think this card right here could come back to 3. Obviously, it's already come back to, like, TCG, and to be honest, it's kind of done nothing. And the thing is, you could definitely use the World Chalice to get this card out specifically, and that was the main reason why it was banned, because of how easy it was to get out. But honestly, it'd be nice to see, like, the World Chalice cards come back with, you know, some of their cards for support, because you don't see anybody play them. So I think this could come back definitely unlimited, and other than that, yeah, I think this card's not too bad, especially now. Outer Entity Azathoth. I'll be honest, I do think this should stay banned. Truly, I do actually think this card could staying banned because, one, its ability after it's Xyz summoned, your opponent cannot activate monster effects for the rest of that turn. Your opponent basically does nothing. And if somebody has a means of Xyz summoning this card out on your opponent's turn, you lock him out of the entire game. So I think this needs to stay banned. Cannon Soldier. You contribute a monster and inflict 500 damage to your opponent. I don't know what card they decided to pair this one with. I maybe should look it up because this is interesting that we have two cards very similar to each other with the same type of effect. Personally, I'll be honest, I think this could come back to 1. I don't know who's getting it out or who's abusing this card, but I do think this could come back to 1 at the very least. Amazoness Archer. Literally the exact same thing as the Cannon Soldiers. I guess this could, I think this could come back to 1. I'd like to actually see some strategies with these types of cards. Now that I really think about it, I'd like to see it, but I'm going to say let's have the Amazoness come back to 1. Toon Cannon Soldier. This is the exact same freaking thing. Seriously. Alright, so this card definitely, I would say, could come back to 1. It's literally just the same thing as those other ones. I would say it could come back to 1 until somebody decides to abuse, show me how these cards work. I think it can come back to 1. Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. This definitely needs to stay banned, at least for the time being. The fact that it's banned is because of the very powerful deck that became, you know, very prominent. That being Fluandereeze. This card was able to be turbo, normal summoned actually, added in normal summoned onto their normal turn or your opponent's turn. It would lock out your opponent from playing the game, and the only way you could stop that was either, you know, destroying it, like through some kind of a spell effect, or, you know, having a win deck yourself. So I personally think this needs to stay banned for now. Eclipse Wyvern. This card, I do kind of think this could come back to 1. I don't know the main reason why this is banned. I do think it can come back to 1. Heck, I bet it could even come back to 2 and be fine. But I think the main reason is because this was maybe used in like Dragon Link. Just taking a guess on this one. A lot of decks that did that actually would, you know, abuse any kind of a dragon that would use light or darks, especially in the Dragon Link. So I do think this card could come back to 1, maybe even 2, honestly. White Dragon Wyverburster. This card is funny. I think this could come back to 1, like, you know, just have 1 Collar Serpent, have 1 Wyverburster. Obviously, Dragon Link was very prominent, and these cards were definitely a big help to that, but with how Dragon Link is nowadays, especially with a lot of the meta decks now, I think this could come back to 1 and be totally fine. Destiny Hero Celestial. The real reason this card was banned is because how prominent DPE and Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer came out. This card would be sent with the Fusion Destiny, and you know, Celestial was usually one of the targets for that. Its ability to, 1, be sent, and then if you used up all your cards, or if you set all your cards, if you had spells and traps, you could then banish it, draw 2, well, with another Destiny Hero monster from your graveyard, which is very much viable with Fusion Destiny. That being said, I think this card could definitely come back to, and I'll say this now, I think it could come back in full power, because while hero decks are very versatile and very able to set up a lot of different boards and, well, floodgates on their own, this card I don't think is the main problem, honestly, and I think this card could definitely come back to 3. Kelbeck the Ancient Vanguard. So long as Tearlament still is a very viable deck, which, to be honest, no matter how many hits that Tearlament has been hit with, this card is still strong even in other decks. Right now, Horus can be one of those decks as well, because they want their stuff in the graveyard to special out. Personally, I do think Kelbeck needs to stay banned, at least for the time being, until there's like a proper way to either, 1, errata this, or just have a means of dealing with it. Yugioh is the same situation. Literally, both of them, I think, are the same situation. It would have been really cool, though, to have like both Yugioh and Kelbeck, with these specific ones in like a Horus deck style. I think that'd be really cool. It's just the problem that these cards were also released with like near around the time of Tearlament, and people saw this as a problem card, which it became, really. So yeah, I agree that these cards need to stay banned. Performage Plushfire. I have never seen this card, and I honestly think this could, well, I think this card could definitely come back to 3. I do definitely think that this could come back to 3, and the reason why is because Perform Pal / Perform Mage cards are not that strong as far as I am aware. The main reason I think this is banned is just because if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, special Perform Mage monster from hand or deck. I believe this might have been utilized with possibly Electromite, because it could pop a card and then you know, add a card and then it could special out. I think that was the main gimmick, but I think this card could probably come back to full power and probably be just fine. Elder Entity Norden. This, I've always wondered why this card was banned, and I mean, the fact is that it could be turbo summoned. Once you have certain cards that can get this out, like for instance, if this card even gets out in general, besides its really weird conditions to summon, when this card is special summoned, you can target a level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard, special it. It's literally a means of getting out any level 4 from your graveyard onto the field. Do I think it's a problem? No. I honestly do not think this card is a problem. I think this could come back to 1 or even probably unlimited, and I think it would be fine. Unless there's a reason why this card is banned, let me know, because honestly, I think this card is perfectly fine, and the reason I also say that is because the one card that could turbo it out, being the Instant Fusion, I honestly think because that card is banned now, that Elder Entity Norden is perfectly fine. Lavalval Chain, like the only good Laval card in the entire thing. The thing is, level 4, easy to get out, and then, rank 4, sorry. Rank 4, easy to get out, and then you can detach material, activate one of these, send a card from deck to graveyard, or choose a monster from your deck and place it on top of your deck. I think, honestly, this could come to 1 and be fine. It's the fact that somebody has to get this card out just to get that effect. It's the same as like having a Foolish Burial or a Foolish Burial Goods, really. And there's a lot of other cards that also send to the graveyard. Yes, this card sends literally almost anything, but personally, I kind of think this card would be fine at 1, no more, because it is a soft once per turn, so just keep it at 1, probably be fine. Shockmaster, no, this one, I don't even know why they designed this card. This is literally a card that shuts your opponent off entirely if you know what they're playing. If they're playing a heavy monster-based deck, oh, call a monster. If they're playing a lot of spells, Huck. Just use spells. Oh man, they're playing Labyrinth? Oh, it's traps. Actually, you know what? That may be a great idea. No. This needs to stay banned, no matter how much I dislike having to fight Labyrinth. Number 86, Heroic Champion, Rongo Menayad, or however they say it. Yeah, I can see the reason why this is banned. Obviously, people would turbo this card out like crazy. There were some cards that just made it too easy to get out. And then it's just 1, it's unaffected by card effects. Your opponent can't summon anything. And then once per turn, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. So if you got it out on your opponent's turn and managed it with all 5, there's nothing they can really do. So yeah, this card needs to stay banned. Zodiac Broad Bowl, I'll be honest, I think this could come back to 1. Truly, I do think this could come back to 1 and be perfectly fine. I think just keep it at 1 for now. I don't know how powerful the Zodiac cards were with Broad Bowl. I didn't play during that era. But I honestly think this could come back to 1 and be perfectly fine. You know, just release the bull. But to be honest, there's also the fact that you can detach material, add a Beast Warrior monster that can be normal summoned set from deck to hand. There's not a whole lot of Beast Warrior monsters that are broken. In fact, I don't think there's many at all. Maybe you could get out Tri-Brigade, that's an option, but I do honestly think that Zodiac Broad Bowl could come back to 1 perfectly fine. Topologic Gumblar Dragon. I do think this one does need a state banned. There's a really easy way to get out a Link 4 with, you know, the 2+4 monster effect condition. This one specifically, it makes your opponent, it forces your opponent to discard 1 to 2 random cards, and then, let's be honest, if your opponent can't discard anymore, like let's say they went through their entire turn, and then you just, you know, got out the Topologic Gumblar Dragon with them and unable to do anything, you special something out, they have to take the damage. They have to take the damage. Yes, it's only once per turn and only once that turn, but they still have to take the damage. That's the thing. So, just those effects alone, just from reading it, I'm like, yeah, I think this should stay banned. Cyberjar. Destroy all monsters on the field, then both reveal the top 5, then special all revealed level 4 or lower in face-up attack or to face-down defense. Also add any remaining cards to their hand. Literally, if you're just playing Cyberjar and you have no monsters, you're just adding all those cards to hand. That's an instant, like, almost draw 5, which is almost stupid. That being said, it also affects both players, so in a way it's good, but in a way it's like really bad, so I do kind of think this card needs to stay banned, just because it's a draw 5 right there. Fiber Jar, it's another flip effect. I don't know who's abusing the flip effect monsters. Each player shuffles all cards from hand, field, and graveyard into the deck, then draws 5 cards. It's an instant restart the entire duel! except if somebody actually was able to do a lot of burn damage in one turn, that damage stays. Everything else gets reset except your life points, so I kind of think this card needs to stay banned. Dandelion. I am assuming that this card was also used for the sake of link spam, just because literally I don't see any other reason why. Because one, they can't be attributed for a tribute summon during the turn they're special summoned, but it says nothing else about anything else. And if it's sent to the graveyard, there are so many ways to send cards to the graveyard still, even without all the other cards that are banned. Yeah, I think this card needs to stay banned, at least, well, at least for the time being. I could see it coming back to 1 in the future, but for now, I think it needs to stay banned. Jin, Releaser of Rituals. This is really the only kind of card that made a older deck, that being Necroz, really viable. That being said, with how many other different type of ritual decks are out there right now, especially the newest one being Voiceless Voice, I do kind of think this card needs to stay banned. Just because if people start abusing these cards, especially since this can be banished from the graveyard as a part of the ritual summon, it's one of those cards I do honestly think needs to stay banned. Wind Up Hunter. To be honest, yeah, I guess I can kind of see it. You know, you tribute a face-up Wind Up monster, send a random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard. I get it. It's literally discard on your opponent's turn. Honestly, I think this card could come back to at least 1 or 2, and it'd probably be fine. I mean, it is a Beast Warrior. I will make mention of that, but it needs to tribute a face-up Wind Up monster. And it needs to be face up while on the field, so I honestly think this could possibly come back to at least 1 or 2 and be totally fine. Summon Sorceress. This card is Link Summon. You special a monster from hand to defense to your opponent's side, and then you basically special a monster from your deck in defense with the same type, negating its effects. It's a special summon from deck. It's also giving your opponent a monster. To be honest, you could technically summon a monster that your opponent would not want. You could give him a Floodgate, and that would be, like, incredibly mean. Like, consider, like, oh, I don't know, you know, a certain fossil card. So yeah, I do think this card needs to stay banned. Cyberstein. Literally any monster that doesn't have a very specific like summon condition from your extra deck, it gets onto the field. Yeah, Cyberstein needs to stay banned. And to be fair, this card could actually be abused in like a deck that's as powerful as Sprite, just because it's level 2. So I honestly think, yeah, this needs to stay banned. Tearlament's Merly. This is obviously a tournament card. It's very powerful because of the rest of the deck it's with. There's only 3 shuffle fusion cards for the Tearlament strategy, that being the Merly, the Hadness, and the Sheeran. Honestly, the fact that they banned one of them is not enough to stop the deck from being still really powerful. It definitely cut it, but it didn't stop them from being powerful. Honestly, if it was my own opinion, this card needs to stay banned for the time being, and the only reason I could see them bringing it back to 1 is if they decide to maybe like, oh, put Sheeran to just 1 as well, and maybe even limit Rhinoheart to a little bit as well. So other than that, yeah. Totally Awesome. Another Omni Negate card that honestly I could see come back to 1. This card was, I don't remember exactly when it was banned, but it was banned a while ago, and I kind of think this card can come back to 1. It made Frogs a lot more viable, but I think it's also because it could be used with the Sprite strategy at the time, that's one of the reasons why it's banned now. Not to mention it's summonable with Bahamut Shark, a rank 4 monster. I do think this card can come back to 1, but probably only 1, and other than that, it needs to probably stay as it is or just come back to 1. Crystron Halki Frybrax. We have Predaplant, and we have Electromite, and we have the other card, I think it's like a Bujin, that have similar effects, though Halki Frybrax able to set up like a Synchro Bard that's actually insane. To be honest, I do think this card should, at least for the time being, stay banned until, you know, probably some other more powerful card comes out, and then, you know, it doesn't seem as dangerous anymore. Other than that, I do think this card needs to stay banned. Nightmare Goblin. I honestly think this card could definitely come back, at least to 1, maybe even 2. To be honest, this is one of those cards that I do think could come back and be perfectly fine. I mean, it's like the same as all the other Nightmare cards. You have the effect of discard a card and then, you know, have their other effect. The only reason I think this card is banned is because it does give you that extra normal summon. But let's be fair, with how many people are actually special summoning in decks nowadays, I don't think that's really going to matter a whole bunch. So I do think this card could definitely come back at least to 1 or even 2 and be perfectly fine. Guard Dragon, Agripane. This is another card used in the Dragon Link strategy. But then again, this one is a little bit different because during your main phase, you can special a Dragon Monster from your extra deck to an extra monster zone or main monster zone who you can summon to that 2 or more Link monsters point to. That with the other guard dragons, that's what made this card very dangerous. And the fact it's still dangerous because people could easily get this out, especially with just a few dragon cards, and get any dragon from your extra deck. It's kind of broken. So this card needs to stay banned. Union Carrier, honestly, yeah, I think this one needs to stay banned. It was abused in a lot of different types of decks. One of them being like with the Buster Blader, you know, getting the Whelp, getting them onto one of your cards, especially with the Buster Blader, or even, you know, attaching it to something like the Thunder Dragon or whatever. This card I do honestly think needs to stay banned. Just for the time being. It's just too easy to get out, and there's just way too many ways to, I think, abuse this, so I think it needs to stay banned. Magical Scientist. This is another one of those, you can just special pretty much anything from your extra deck, so long as it's, you know, like for instance, a level 6 or lower fusion monster. Literally, this would be another one of the reasons why the one Elder Entity up above is banned, to be honest. This card right here, I do think needs to stay banned because there's just too many options to go into with this card. Substitute, let's be honest here. This card could definitely come back to like 1 or 2 and be perfectly fine, I think. It's you tribute a monster, special a frog monster from your deck. I think this could come back. Honestly, I think it could definitely come back. Yes, you could use it for like sprite stuff and, you know, Ronin Totem and whatever. I do think this card is not as powerful as some people are saying, just because your options are limited specifically to frogs. Mind Master. This is another one of those, this is one of those cards that say, you know, you can special anything from your deck kind of card. I kind of think that this card could definitely be at least 1 or maybe even 2, just because, yeah, you pay 800, tribute a psychic monster, except itself, mind you, to special a level 4 or lower psychic monster from deck in phase of attack. I could see this card being maybe abused in like a deck, let's say, I don't know, Punk. I could definitely see that being a viable option. But I honestly think that with how Punk is right now, this card would only be maybe a nice extender at least. So I think this card could at least come back to maybe 2 or 3 and be perfectly fine. Fishborg Blaster. This is literally just water support. I think it can come back and be totally fine. Like, come on, guys. This can come back. This can come back to 3 perfectly fine, really. Level Eater. This one is... I actually don't know. I actually don't know why Level Eater is banned at all. If it's in your graveyard, target level 5 or higher monster you control reduces level by 1, and if you do, special this card. Honestly, I don't know why this card is banned. If you guys could let me know why, I'd greatly appreciate it. But maybe it's because it's not a once per turn. But other than that, I actually don't know why. So I think this could come back fully. Glow Up Bloom. This is a once per duel card. Let's be clear, this is a once per duel card. If it's in your graveyard, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. If you do special this card, yeah, I get it. Send some from graveyard, special it out. Yeah, but it's a once per duel. I do think this card could come back to that 1 because it's literally just a once per duel. Very similar to how Destiny Hero Denier is. Like, it's a once per duel effect for his special thing. This could definitely come back to 1 and be totally fine. Super Heavy Samurai Soulbreaker Armor. I don't know why this one is banned. I can understand why a lot of the different Super Heavy Samurai cards are limited or even semi-limited just because, especially of the new cards. But this one was banned a while ago. And I do kind of think that this card could probably come back to at least 1 and be totally fine. Because obviously if you banish all of your Super Heavy Samurai armors from your graveyard to then inflict damage, you'd only be able to do this once. The only thing is, I don't know what the means of doing that is. I don't know which card it was abused with. I honestly think this could probably come back to 1. Just to say that be on the safe side, but I do think that's really just it. Number S0 Utopic Zexal. Yeah, this card I think needs to stay banned. This card could probably, I'm assuming it was, turbo summoned out on any turn, whether it be your turn or your opponent's turn. Once per opponent's turn, quick effect, detach and exceed material from this card. Your opponent's cards and effects cannot be activated this turn. It shuts off your opponent. So if they have no way to stop them, like with like an imperm or an effect veiler, like, or some way to stop them at that moment they use it, yeah, you just don't play the game. So yeah, keep it banned. Nightmare Mermaid, honestly, its requirement is 1 nightmare card, a nightmare monster. This card could probably come back to at least 1 or 2 and be perfectly fine. And I'll be honest, not too many people I think are going to be abusing this card, except with the Ibli. And yes, Ibli is a problem card in its own way. It is a floodgate of sorts. But with how many decks are also playing Link monsters nowadays, just normal summon one of your other monsters and then Link summon and you're totally fine. Otherwise, I don't know the main reason why this card is banned. Otherwise, I do think that this card could come back to 1 and be perfectly fine, similar to how the Goblin is. Guard Dragon LP. This is one of the other Guard Dragon cards, and we already have a problem with Pitsty, the other card that's related to. And that card is used in Dragon Link, and this card would also be abused in that Dragon Link. And while one exists, the other one I honestly think should not exist just because the other one exists. Because Dragon Links are just very powerful in that regard. If anything, I do think this could come to 1 at the very least. No, sorry, the very most. Only 1 at the very most. Other than that, that's it. That's it. Link Cross. When Link 2 or higher Link monster, and then you can summon a bunch of Link tokens. I don't know why this card is banned. If somebody could explain that, do let me know. Otherwise, I think this could probably come back to 1 and be perfectly fine. I don't know how it was abused, because it even says also you cannot use Link tokens as Link material for the rest of this turn. Unless this was probably like I don't know, summoned out with like IP Masquerena, like during your opponent's turn, make a wall or something like that. I don't know. I honestly think that this could probably come back to 1 and be perfectly fine, but I'm saying 1 just to be on the safe side. Graceful Charity, the ability to draw 3 and discard 2 with a deck that exists like Tearlaments or Horus or any other kind of a deck that likes sending stuff away. For example, Dark Worlds being one of those decks that likes to discard. Yeah, that card's gotta stay banned, I'm sorry. Pot of Greed! You draw 2! Yeah, we're gonna keep that banned. Last Will. If a monster on the side of your field was sent to the graveyard this turn, you can special a monster with an attack of 1500 or points or less from your deck once during this turn, then shuffle your deck. It is literally a free special summon from your deck, and it shuffles back so you can get it back. I do think this card needs to stay banned, because being able to special summon from the deck, and that means any monster with attack with 1500 points or less, is kind of crazy, and it can come back later, so definitely just keep this banned. Confiscation. Pay 1,000, look at your opponent's hand, select a card in it, and discard that card. The fact that there are cards that are able to make your opponent lose cards, especially on your first turn, it hurts them a lot. This card can be used to like stop like Nibiru, Ash, Imperm, a lot of other cards. I'm gonna be real, I do think this also needs to stay banned. It's also the fact it's not a once per turn as well, similar to Pot of Greed and Graceful Charity. If you had more than 1 of this card, it would be abused in every single deck. But I do think this needs to stay banned just to be on the safe side. Delinquent Duo. This is a very similar card to the one I just read of Last Will. And if, let's see here, pay 1,000, your opponent discards a random card, and if they have any other cards in their hand, discard 1 more random card of their choice. Yeah, literally your opponent would go -2 if you start out with this card. It needs to stay banned. The Forceful Sentry. I like how a lot of these older cards banned because their effects are just broken. So let's see here. Look at your opponent's hand, select 1 card among them, and return it to his or her deck. Then the deck is shuffled. Same situation as the last 2. Needs to stay banned. Giant Trunade. This is a different type of take. I'm gonna be honest. I think this card could come back to 1 and be fine. We literally just got Heavy Storm, which wipes out the entire field. Giant Trunade, I honestly think could come back to 1 and be perfectly fine. It's just like another Harpy's Feather Duster, except it does affect your turn as well. So there are just other cards that do literally the exact same thing, and I do think that it could come back to 1. Maybe it's, I don't know. It's like one of those things. It could definitely come back to 1 and be fine, but maybe it needs to stay banned because if you have a card like this and Harpy's Feather Duster, they're going to be playing both of them probably, but honestly, I think it could come back to 1 and be perfectly fine. Painful Choice. This one definitely needs to stay banned. I mean, you select the cards from your deck, your opponent chooses 1 to add, and then you send the rest to the graveyard. It's literally just chaotic. It's just chaotic Magical Dragon. Yeah, it needs to stay banned. Cold Wave. This one, similar to Heat Wave, makes it so your opponent can't do any spell or traps at all until your next turn. So let's be clear, you have to do it at the start of main phase 1, you use this, your opponent can't do any spells or traps. It's pretty powerful, and yeah, if your opponent wants to like have that extra turn of survival, and with how many decks actually do use spells and traps, yeah, this card needs to stay banned for the time being. Terraforming, this card could definitely come back to 1, I think. But then again, I also know the reason why it was banned. Obviously, Tearlaments was really strong when I think it was banned as well. And the fact that you can use this card to get, like, Secret Village of the Spellcasters, which is... it's a floodgate, so I can understand why this card would be banned, because the ability to search out floodgates is very dangerous. So honestly, I do kind of think Terraforming could come back to 1, but I guess it's fine staying forbidden. Metamorphosis. This is another one of the fusion summonable cards. Yeah, this card needs to stay banned just because there's too many fusion options, especially now, so yeah. Yeah, let's keep this card banned. Card of Demise. Another situation of sending cards from your hand to the graveyard. So yeah, this card, I can understand why it's banned. Of course, this was also utilized in like even Exodia decks, just because, you know, it's draw until you have 3 in your hand. It's literally 3 free draws. But otherwise, honestly, this needs to stay banned. Dimension Fusion. Pay 2,000 life points. Each player special summons as many of their banished monsters as possible. I don't know how this card was abused, but I'm going to assume that this card had a very good reason of why, because I'm assuming somebody figured out a way of banishing a lot and then just using this card to get out stuff. Yeah, I'm going to just say this card needs to stay banned. Instant Fusion, same thing as before. It's a literal fusion monster, it gets out. Yeah, it needs to stay banned. Soul Charge. This is interesting. I actually don't know the main reason why this is banned. But, I mean, from its effect alone, target any number of monsters in your graveyard, special them, and then, if you do, lose 1,000 for each monster special summoned by this effect. I don't know which cards they were using to abuse it, but even if they weren't abusing it for the cards to get out from graveyard, they could send a bunch, special them all out with this card, and then just go and use their Link Summon. Also, you cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate it. If you're going first, it doesn't matter. So honestly, yeah, I think this card should stay banned. Premature Burial. This is a hot take on my part. I think this card could come back to 1 and be perfectly fine. It is a equip spell, so that could be a reason why some people are definitely not playing it. One, they could use this card with, like, let's say, Makonko. Makonko could be one of those. They might even use this card in, like, Infernoble. I don't know if they would. But I do think this card could come back to 1 and be perfectly fine. It's similar to a Monster Reborn, though this is a weaker Monster Reborn. And almost nobody even plays Monster Reborn, so does it really matter? Smoke Grenade of the Thief. I remember this card being abused in some way, so yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the fact that when this card is destroyed by a card effect while equipped to a monster, look at your opponent's hand, discard a card from their hand. Pretty sure it's because it was equipped to Gearfried, which would pop any equipped spell that it was attached to. So, I do honestly think that this card needs to stay banned. Butterfly Dagger, Elma. Yeah, this is one of those cards that was also abused with Gearfried, and to be fair, I do think this could come back to 1 and be perfectly fine. Yes, there is a means of searching it out with, like, Hidden Armory or something like that. This card, I think, could come back to 1 and be perfectly fine. Just make sure there's not too many ways to abuse it, and I think the fact 1 is not really easy to get out in the first place. I mean, otherwise with Hidden Armory, it would only be in specific decks, and I don't think it would be abused too badly. Divine Sword Phoenix Blade, equipped only to a warrior against 300 attack. During your main phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish 2 warrior monsters from graveyard out of this card to your hand. I see no problem with this card. This could come back to full power. I think it could come back to 3. If there is a reason why it's banned, let me know, but I think it could come back to 3 and be fine. Mystic Mine is a floodgate field spell. Heck no, we don't need more of them. To be honest, Mystic Mine, I'm actually surprised they even put it in the game, but they banned it immediately. So it's like, what was the point of adding it in the first place then? Honestly, this needs to stay banned. It was abused in so many decks, one of them being Runic. Yeah, this needs to stay banned. Card of Safe Return. With how many freaking cards are able to special summon from your graveyard? This is literally a plus whatever how many cards you have in your deck, honestly, because this card can be abused in so many ways. Yeah, this needs to stay banned. Mirage of Nightmare, it's a similar card to the fact that you draw, and then you draw, and then you draw. Obviously, if you do once during your next standby phase after, randomly discard the same number you draw. However, if this is utilized in something like Dark World, yeah, it's just it can be literally a draw until you have 4. Draw all your hand traps. Great. Use all my stuff. Oh, draw 4. Amazing. I have all these other things. Oh my gosh, I have to send them. Great. Now I have follow-up play for later. It can be abused in too many decks. Yeah, it needs to stay banned. Kaiser Coliseum, a Floodgates, a Stunned card. Yeah. Let's keep this one banned. Mass Driver. Tribute a monster on your side of the field to inflict 400 points of damage to your opponent's life points. It is another one of those tribute monsters to activate their effects. I don't know which monster people were abusing to tribute and then utilize this effect, but the fact is, it is not a once per turn, and I think that's the main reason why a lot of those cards were banned. I know there's definitely some kind of a card out there that these cards were abusing, so I honestly think, yeah, this one at least should probably stay banned, because this one is also not a once per turn, and it's a spell, so you don't even have to get a monster out, and you can't negate it with like imperm or something. So yeah, I would say it needs to stay banned. Set Rotation. This is a card I do think needs to stay banned, so long as that there are other field spells that just abuse the card. For instance, set 2 field spells with different names from your deck, one on your field, one on your opponent's field, and then your opponent can't even get rid of that field spell. If you give them, or even give yourself, a Village of the Spellcasters, maybe we should just ban that card, actually. Maybe we should just ban Village of the Spellcasters. That being said, literally use this card, get like a card like that, or even some of the other cards I think are out there that can stop your opponent from playing cards, or, stop your opponent from using anything, even stop your opponent from, it's just a card that needs to, it just needs to stay banned. Time Seal. Skip the draw phase of your opponent's next turn. It's kind of self-explanatory. It's not even a once per turn thing. It's just skip the draw phase of your opponent's next turn. So if you had like 3 of these, you could technically, I think you could skip 3 draw phases in 1 turn. And if you have a means of like surviving that time, yeah, and guess what? It's a normal trick. It can be Labyrinth used. It can be used with a Labyrinth card. Yeah, this needs to stay banned. Last turn. I do kind of think this card could come back to 3 and just be fine. I think it's kind of funny, honestly, because this is used for the case of drawing. I would say this card should stay banned for tournaments, but in normal play, I think it's just funny if anybody draws in the first place. So honestly, I think this could come back to 3 and be perfectly fine. I guess. I don't know. I mean, I just kind of want to try it out. Trap Dust Shoot. It's a similar case to a lot of the other cards. Stop your opponent from being able to have certain cards in their hand. It stops them. But then again, with how many 1-card combos are out there, if your opponent has 2 of them, it won't really matter. Then again, I do think that this card should stay banned just because it is also a normal trap card as well. And if you literally use Labyrinth with this, yeah, it can be abused really badly. So honestly, it needs to stay banned. Self-Destruct Button. This is another one of those cards I think can be used to draw. Yeah, I think this card could come back to perfectly fine. Just don't allow it in tournaments. And this card is just a funny way to make people mauled. You're not losing technically. You're drawing. Maybe there's a reason why this card is also banned, but I think it's just because it's really mean and just annoying to face. But honestly, I think it's be fine at 3. Just ban it in tournaments. Sixth Sense. Declare 2 numbers from 1 to 6. Then your opponent rolls a 6-sided die, and if the result is one of the numbers you declare, you draw that many cards. Otherwise, send a number of cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard equal to the result. You call 6, you send 6, or you draw 6. Yeah, this card is busted no matter how you look at it. It can be used in literally anything, and if you like your stuff in graveyard, you're playing 6th Sense. It doesn't matter. So yeah, it needs to stay banned. Turn from the different dimensions. Pay off your life points, special as many banished monsters as possible, and then banish all monsters that were special summoned by this effect. I don't know which cards are abusing this one. I honestly think this might be okay to come back at 1, just to be on the safe side. You are paying off your life points, and you're specialing as many of your banished monsters. I don't know which decks are going to be abusing the banishments that much. I mean, maybe Kashtira, but even then, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I honestly think it's going to come back to 1 at the very least, or at least the most, and it'd probably be fine. Magical Explosion. I don't know the reason why this card is banned, though I have a feeling that if somebody were just to have a lot of cards that send cards to the graveyard, then get the trap. Actually, you know what? I just remembered. there is a card called Transaction Rollback. If you have any means of milling your deck into the graveyard, and you're able to send this card as well with a lot of other cards, you know, like a lot of spell cards and even Transaction Rollback, activate Transaction, activate Magical Explosion. Yeah, I'm assuming it was used because this was abused. And honestly, with Transaction Rollback, a lot of the normal traps that I have mentioned before suddenly becomes a lot more clear on why it needs to stay banned. Life Equalizer, it might seem fine at, like, reading, like, the normal things on paper, but literally activate only when the difference between both players is 8,000 or more. When the difference is 8,000 or more. I don't know who abused it. I don't know how they abused it, but point of the case is, both players' life points become 3,000. Somehow this was abused, so I do honestly think it needs to stay banned for the moment. And same case, Transaction Rollback. I don't know if it requires the specific thing to activate. Yeah, I honestly think it needs to stay banned. Appointer of the Red Lotus. It's another one of those cards that literally puts your opponent -1 for their starting hand, especially with, like, you know, Labyrinth. Yeah, I think this card needs to stay banned just for the sake of, you know, giving a player a chance-ish against Labyrinth, because, let's be clear, if your opponent goes first, they have the coup clock, they go for Lovely, you're going to be -1 anyway, so let's not give them something that makes it even stronger. Branded Expulsion. This deck was abused. It's same reason why there was the Gimmick Puppet Lock in the first place. Give your opponent a monster that they cannot out, or it just locks them into something, or locks them out of everything. Yeah, something like that I do think needs to just stay banned. Honestly, there's a good reason why this card was banned, honestly, and yeah, they should probably do something similar with, oh, I don't know, maybe the Albion, because it can still do the exact same thing with some other cards. Ultimate Offering. This one is literally just, you can do another normal summon. Yeah, during your main phase or your opponent's battle phase, pay 500, immediately after, normal summon, set a monster. It's not a once per turn. I think that's the main reason why this is banned. It's not once per turn. And if you're playing a lot of normal summon heavy decks, especially ones like, oh, I don't know, Fluanderees, maybe even Monarchs, and I think there are a few other decks as well that use it, like Gemini could actually utilize this card. I mean, not that it would really help when Gemini aren't very good. That being said, it's just the fact that you can get out almost anything with it as well. I do kind of think it needs to stay banned, though. In the future, I almost think it could come back to 1 and be fine. Imperial Order. You stop spells entirely. If you're just playing a deck like, oh, I don't know, Eldritch or Labyrinth. Again, with Labyrinth. Jeez. Yeah, Imperial Order is just broken. Yeah, needs to stay banned. Royal Oppression. Either player can pay 800 to negate the special summon of our monster, or an effect that special summons a monster and destroy those cards. You both are able to use this card, but if you're playing a deck like Fluanderees, again, you can use this card and your opponent can't special summon pretty much whatsoever. So unless you have a means of outing this card specifically with, like, a Harpy's Feather Duster, Mystical Space Typhoon, or you know what I mean, yeah, this card needs to stay banned. Vanity's Emptiness. It's another one. Neither player can special summon monsters. And guess what? If a card is sent from the deck or field to the graveyard, destroy this card. There are a lot of ways to do that nowadays, especially with a lot of the decks nowadays. Though, I'll be honest, Vanity's Emptiness is a card that you can also wait on as well. Any of the continuous traps, or any of the normal traps for that matter, you can wait for the right moment to use it, and then you lock your opponent. If you wait to use Vanity's Emptiness, you have your opponent like, oh, I don't know, you know, send Horus into, you know, a card. Then they add the one card. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of ways to stop Vanity's Emptiness, I guess. There's a lot of ways to out it, but it also doesn't. It also stops a whole lot of decks from playing in general. So, yeah, this card needs to stay banned. So yeah, that was all of the different forbidden cards in Master Duel that are, well, forbidden. I do honestly think a lot of my takes may or may not have been justified. Obviously, this is all my opinion, and because of my professional opinion, my opinion is correct. That being said, you are feel free to do comment in the comments below whether or not these cards should stay forbidden. Maybe these ones can come back, or you have some other kind of a hot take, whether they should be errated or not. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want, I'll definitely do a video for semi-limited or even limited as well in the future if you'd like me to. That being said, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. So, till next time, guys, take care.